Sound engineer as well.
Good evening. The City of Crescent City Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will now come to order. First item of business is approval of the minutes, June 20, 2024.
We might want to table these because Brad had stated that he didn't say aye in one of the motions, and I have it passed as all ayes. So we might want to table until the next month, just because, so I can go back and listen to it to make sure that he was in agreement or he wasn't.
Okay.
So if I can get a motion to table.
I make a motion to table the minutes.
Thank you.
It has been motion and second that we table the approval of the June 2024 minutes. All in favor? Aye. Next, we have our new business, the FLUM comp plan amendment for 600 Cherry Street.
Good evening. I'll go ahead and get started. As we've discussed in the past, this first item is a comp plan amendment, but there's also a companion item with it. It's a rezoning. And I'm going to talk about them together because many of the issues that we're going to talk about overlap. But you guys want to make a decision on them separately and independently. So this is a small scale comprehensive plan amendment. We're actually amending the future land use map for this property. And then we're doing a rezoning. This is the location of the property. So this is Cherry Street running north to south. This is County Road 308, Huntington Road. This is West Grand Rondo. It is a linear property, so if we're standing on Cherry Street and looking at it, it's about a little bit more than 1,000 feet wide. It's only about 150 feet deep. So most of this vegetation that you see is not, in fact, on this property. It's just fringe here. So we're looking at this piece of property that has largely been used for agricultural activity and has had significant clearing. What we, just for orientation purposes, this is sort of Haley Landing over here. This is the elementary school. It's Middleton Verde. We talked about that quite a bit back in June when we talked about the new elementary school. So in terms of location, it's in that same general area. So in terms of what we're actually, the change that they're actually being requested, this property has split zoning on it currently. It's commercial and agricultural. I'll show you out in the maps. And they want to go to a designation of residential low density, which is up to 4 units per acre. And so you can see this here is the existing flume, and we're looking at the commercial by Huntington. The rest of it is in ag. You can see here to the south and west and east, largely agriculture. Then we get over here, there's some residential medium density, which is 4 to 10 acres. This is rec, commercial, and this, of course, is the school, which is public. This is the proposed future land use they're asking for, residential low density. And again, you see the mix of uses that will be in the vicinity of. Here we have the existing zoning map, so it's very similar to the future land use on this property at least. We have G1 general commercial, we have agriculture zoning, you see over here. Where we saw ag future land use, you see SR1 zoning, so there's some inconsistency, at least in this area, between the future land use map and the underlying zoning. Ag and then, conservation all along here, Run Lake. And this is the proposed zoning. They're going to SR1. You can see that matches some of the existing zoning that's in the area. That essentially is my slideshow presentation. So we cut out quite a few slides from last month. I want to point out that the area has all the infrastructure in place to support development. Obviously, there's the road system, Huntington Road and Cherry Street. Those are existing roads that provide access to the property. There is a 6-inch water line in Cherry Street on the west side, so they'll be able to connect the water. There is an 8-inch sanitary sewer line that is in Huntington Avenue across the street from the site. So I know there's been some discussions about potential participation, but so there'll probably be a cooperative effort between the town and the developer to work on the sewer system. In terms of the environmental impacts on the property, as you heard me say, the site has been in agricultural use for a number of years. It's been cleared. I think the agricultural activity dates back to the 1950s on the property. So it's got, all the soils to support, urban development. In terms of the zoning criteria, I went through those in the staff report. If you want to take action on the future land use, I can then go into the criteria for the zoning. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have about the information I presented or the information that's in the staff report.
I have a question. So you're saying that, thank God, you're not gonna go through this whole thing word by word, right?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
I'm saying my presentation is done, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. So when I looked at this at home, I was able to look at on my TV, and I can make it big. Here, I can barely read. But there was a section on zoning in here where it talked about zoning, and they said that this particular type of zoning, I forget what they used, or the name of it, allowed for mobile homes, manufactured homes, single-family homes, and a couple other things. Do you know where that is on the document here?
I think they allow modular homes, not mobile homes.
Well, the thing, it says mobile homes.
Well,
Maybe he's talking about the definition, was it, because it lists in there.
Probably for the zoning, they allow
Yeah, that was allowable,
types.
but you can't have a mobile home.
yeah, what they're applying for is SR1. The SR1 allows single-family homes, which under state law also includes modular homes.
Now, modular homes, double wides that you.
No. There are modular homes.
What is a modular?
A modular home is a factory-built home.
A kitchen.
Yeah, there's sort of three different things. There's single-family homes, there's modular homes, and there are mobile homes, right? So what you would normally see advertised as a double wide, sometimes referred to as double wide trailer, that's a mobile home. So the single-family homes are site-built. They're built to the Florida building code. Modular homes are factory-built, but they are also built to the Florida building code. So they're then carried to the site on trucks, and then they're assembled and then, put on a permanent foundation.
Okay.
And so that's what a modular home is. Manufactured home, and sometimes both modular homes and mobile homes are confusingly both called manufactured home. The distinction is that the mobile homes are not built to the Florida building code. They're built to a national DOT standard, actually, and HUD standard. And so those are not permitted in this zone.
Mark, we, in our package, we have the submittal requirements. And in it, it lists, a plot plan showing all existing and proposed structures for improvements. And of course, we do have the existing structures shown. But I didn't see anything with proposed structures.
And there's a reason for that. Yes, that is in the application. This application is outdated. When you make a zoning decision, you are making a use decision. So these gentlemen want to apply for ultimately where they want to get to is they want to get to they want to create a single family subdivision. They're home builders by trade. They have never done a development before.
Well,
So they're going through this process.
sure, I
And so-
understand that. So, but your first, you began by saying this is outdated. Can we update it so it's not confusing?
Yes, and we're gonna come in with a new land development code in hopefully within a couple months.
So to be efficient, you're gonna do it all at once?
We're gonna do it all at once.
Okay. So what other, under E, what other are not,
I actually don't have that in my packet.
so, well, let me just, what, number 5, copy of recorded deed on property. Is that required at this time?
It is an application requirement. What I do is, when I look at it, I actually went into the records to see if the property was in the name of the applicant and saw what was recorded in the property appraisal records, so.
So that's great, but since it's a requirement in your report, if you could just state that you did that, so you know that the requirement was satisfied.
Dan, did you not receive one of these?
Well, I got that, but I couldn't read it.
Oh.
You know, I'm not,
sorry.
unfortunately, I'm not 12 anymore. What is that?
That's they're showing you that that's the property record.
Right here, you see?
With your name
No,
on it.
that's the problem. I can't see it.
It has your name on it.
So that gets to my other point. Karen, if we could have some, larger is better.
I already suggested
Yeah, he came in
Yeah.
like to you today.
that. I can't
Okay.
do that.
He can't read that, so
Okay.
I will see about getting it larger.
And don't be so frugal on
And
that.
then, Mark, the other one is 7.
Okay.
Which states notarized letters from property owners consenting to propose.
Yeah, that would be if you're an agent, right? You don't need an authorized letter from the property. These gentlemen are the owners through the LLC that they own. And
Well, what
so
about the neighboring properties?
that's,
They don't own all the abutting properties,
that's not what this is.
but isn't it a requirement that the abutting properties be asked if there are any objections?
No, that's not a problem.
That's not a requirement. Will it be?
What will happen in the new land of the code, there will be notice to adjacent and property owners within 300 feet of property. That's not a requirement of state law. It's a common practice in most places in Florida and throughout the country to provide notifications. But that is a limitation in the current land development code that will be correct. So there is notice requirement, will be posting of the property, will be notice.
So that will happen.
That will happen in the future.
It will be noticed when we go to the commission meeting. The property we'll put a sign on the property.
Right. Which is something that
Zoning change.
that the city has been doing, but that's actually not listed anywhere.
We've been doing it since I started, so we do it from the property. That way, when people drive by, if they have any questions or concerns.
Oh, no, I'm familiar with that, Karen.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna be doing when it comes to the commission. So next
Exactly,
week,
sure.
if it's approved tonight,
Yeah.
next week it'll go out the property.
Right, but in the future, in the land development code, there will be notice at both meetings that will be mailed to property, surrounding property.
Great, thank you. So in the, I believe you covered the list in your report. So obviously the existing zoning is agriculture. What is the current future land use on it? Is it agriculture or is it something different?
The current future land use is commercial and agricultural.
Yes, yeah. So, and which is what it is currently.
That's
It's a combination currently.
it's a combination, so up by the road,
Exactly, yeah, I see the red, yeah, that I can see. Thank you. Okay. So this request is a change from also from future land use.
there's two changes that have to be made, because we don't want it, first of all, we're not supposed to be in a situation where we have underlying zoning that is mismatched. For example, I pointed out to you that when you look at the existing zoning and land use there, there's a mismatch, not on this site, but to the
Right.
east.
Right.
Between the SR1 zoning and the agriculture, right? Because agriculture allows a density of 1 unit per 5 acres, but the underlying zoning is SR1, which has a minimum lot size of, you can go all the way down to 7,200 square feet. So there's
Okay.
quite a mismatch.
Thank
So we're avoiding that by doing both at the same time.
My remaining questions are for the applicant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you wanna have them come up?
Please. Hi, Joan.
How you doing? Ryan DeGrandy, Joseph Trigger.
Welcome, gentlemen. We're delighted to see you. Have you owned the property long?
And that's our couple of months.
And do you own any of the surrounding property?
And that's our,
And can you tell us a little bit about what your vision is on the homes you want to build?
yeah, so we plan to build some, nice achievable homes lying down the road there. Hopefully we can get, 13 of them on there. And, they'll be single family homes. They're not meant for rent. They'll be hopefully, nice, affordable homes that are real achievable for everybody in the area. And it should, I would say make some, from what I understand, some really needed homes around here that are gonna be in the right price range. So that's the idea.
How many what square footage do you imagine?
So right now it would be like 1,200 square feet living, single car garage, 1,600 square foot on the roof, would fit very nicely on the lot size, so you'd have a, a nice yard. They'd be, like I said, they seem like they fit really well with the, the area and the needs of the area.
And I saw one story.
Yes, sir, one story. Yes, sir. Metal roof, hardy siding, nice houses.
Obviously on slab.
Yes, sir.
And, I assume 2 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Three bedroom, well, 1 bedroom is like a flex room.
Sure.
It's got, you could use it for either or. It's got usually some built-in, it's a desk. You could use it as like an open closet, kind of modern looking, but it's 3 bedroom essentially.
3 or 2 and a den or whatever.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Whatever.
Open floor plan in the middle. It's got an island. They're very, very nice homes. They walk and feel very good for the space you've actually got there. They're bigger than they might sound, so.
And I assume there'll be block homes,
Not necessarily.
not necessarily.
No, they'll be built to the code and,
Steel studs,
no, sir, most residential wouldn't be steel, so they'd probably be wood frame.
wood frame.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yes, sir.
And what price range are we?
Well, we've got to sort of get through all of this and work things out with the, with the city works on getting the sewer down there and just, hopefully we're 300 or under. That's where we have to be, but we'll have to kind of see what the market does. And, like I said, the goal would be for us to make an affordable home. If we can get it there, we're not going to build something that's not quality. So if we can build the quality that we always do and keep the price down, if we can offer it lower and get it sold, that would be our goal. And it'd be, like I said, good for the community and be good for us too. So that's the idea.
And, when do you think you'll have it built out?
As quickly as we can get through all of this and, and break ground, we would probably start with 2 or 3 homes, hopefully, and obviously need to kind of get those moving and make sure that they're going to sell. And we could have the houses built in 4 months from the time we start. We got to get through permitting also. So once it goes, it would go pretty good.
Will they all look similar, or do you have different styles?
I think what we would hope to do is just take the same style, use somewhat of the same color scheme, like maybe if it's like a coastal color, something that would look good with the lake, and just switch colors and maybe like have board and batten on one and lap siding on the other, so they don't look like they're all cookie cutters down the road, but they would all match. So you wouldn't have, very odd looking houses beside each other. It would be all, it would all flow real well. So, but basically the same floor plan. If things change during the way and somebody wanted to build something a little different, as long as it worked, I mean, we could maybe adjust a little bit, but that's the idea.
So you would customize?
To an extent we could, of course, we'd have to see how it goes, but, initially the plan is to build that model, change the outside appearance as much as we can to, make it attractive where they're not all one, just line right up, but still go together. So.
And you said hopefully 13, or?
The plot we've got now is 13, and that fit within all the requirements, as I understand it. So that's the goal. And like I said, that's still an 80 by 150 lot, which is, pretty good sized lot for a single family home of that size. So, especially if we have sewer there and there's not a septic system, that gives they could have fenced in backyards for the kids to play in. They could have a pool. They could do whatever. They would do plenty of room.
And they'll be significantly, assuming they build it the way they're describing, it'll be significantly larger than the minimum that's associated with.
We were almost concerned that the house might look kind of small in the lot, because like I said, you go through these, different subdivisions these days, and they're lined up right beside each other.
Right.
It's not gonna be anything like that. It's gonna be a very desirable lot with a home on it.
I have a question. What is the setback?
I think it's usually 25 in the front.
No, outside, on the side.
It's probably only 8 or 10 feet, but we're gonna have, we're 80 foot wide, and the house is only 25 foot,
The minimum requirement in the SR1 is 7.5 on the side. So, but these lots, I mean, at least in terms of what they're proposing now, first of all, they're gonna have to come back and go through a subdivision process that'll get reviewed by staff, and then we'll come back to you guys for preliminary plat, construction drawings, and then there'll be a final plat process.
Right.
So at this point, you know, we're just talking about conceptually and, you know, what their intentions are. But the lots that they've been showing are, you know, 1.5 times the size of the minimum.
The ratio of your structure to land area is nice.
Yes, sir.
They're not tight in there. Will be, in the future code, will the site setbacks change?
And not in the SR1, we've changed in other districts, but we're
Not in
you know,
this.
we're trying to preserve people's existing zoning, existing entitlements.
Sure.
You know, so.
To answer your question, sir, it'd be about 25 feet on the sides of each side of the house. So that'd be more than the 7.5 foot that's supposed to be our minimum, that is,
25 feet from.
on the setbacks on the side. Right now, at the proposed,
50 feet apart?
no, they're 80 foot apart right now, 80 foot wide, 80 foot wide by
Well, that's a
150.
lot, but
Yeah, you got 80 foot a lot, 25 foot of a side yard, 25 foot of a house, and 25 foot, so that's 75. You basically got a 25 foot wide side yard on each house, which would butt to the next one, so there's 50 foot
In between
in between each house.
okay.
So like I said, nice lots.
It just, you know, I just finished building a home.
Yes, sir.
And I was surprised on the energy, I forget what it's called, but you have to get an energy.
Energy couch. Yes, sir.
And I had to do mine 2x6s as opposed to 2x4s. Do you run into that issue with a small house like you're building?
No, usually the energy calcs will, in these houses, when you insulate the wall, the 2x4 wall to the maximum insulation, with R30 in the ceiling, the energy calcs come back good all the time. Like, they're very efficient houses. You know, so we haven't had any trouble at all with that. The one trouble you have almost too much is when you do the blower door test at the end, and it's checking to see how much fresh air is leaking and all that stuff. Sometimes we get them too tight, you know what I mean, or very close to too tight, where it's,
Inside as in.
you're not getting much outside air.
3.5 or whatever it is. I know it runs from 3.5 to 7.
Yeah, so we've actually had a blower door test 2 days ago on the same model we want to build. We built quite a few of them in St. Augustine,
Mhm.
and it came in at like 5,
Oh, that's
you know, which was almost perfect. I always get nervous that it's going to be too tight. We're going to figure out how to let some air in. The whole time you're building, trying to keep it out, and everybody wants spray foam and this and that, and all of a sudden you got the house too tight.
How about, I don't know if this is the place, but I'm just curious.
Yes, sir.
Siding.
Siding?
You said you're gonna be board for that.
Well,
Clapboard?
so we would use a cement, what everybody calls it hardy siding, but hardy's a manufacturer. It would just be a cement. It's not going to be vinyl, or it's not going to be stucco.
So hardywood, right?
Hardy board, yes, sir.
That's what I built mine with.
Yeah, in different orientations. So we might do one in a board and batten style, and the next one in a lap hardy, so that it just, you know.
Oh, so you have
Yes.
variety.
Yeah, so you've got a gable on the front, one might have some shaker on it, so it looks like shaker, so, you know, I mean, make, you know, nice looking home, good curb appeal.
How long have you been, building those?
So we've both been, and I know I talk a lot, he's the smart one, I just talk. So, we've both been in construction our whole lives, and started off building my house and his house, you know, owner builder, and, you know, working in construction our whole lives, and we've been building houses now for the last, probably 6 years or so, but like I said, have been in building and have built houses, that's all we've ever done. So,
And you say you built some homes in St. Augustine?
we built quite a few in St. Augustine, yes, ma'am.
How many have you built in your 6 years?
20, 25, something like that, you know, we don't go
Yeah,
crazy.
they're all spec homes, so like mainly we take our money and build them and then sell them. And that's basically what we'd be doing here as well.
Starting again.
Yeah,
Somewhere else. Good.
yeah, we built for a few homeowners, but if, you know, we sort of pick and choose, so we'd rather do that, and if somebody we know and we trust, they want us to build, which does happen, we'll build an occasional one for a homeowner, but, we're not out there trying to bid every job. And like I said, we found this piece of property, we like Crescent City, it seems like an up and coming area, we understood that y'all were in need for the homes, and we took a gamble and said, let's buy it, it's orientated down the road the right way, it's dividable, it's already half cleared, and it seemed like, you know, with the lake beside it and all, it would, you know, somebody wants to go on a walk in the afternoon or work at the school, it's like a perfect place to have some nice houses that aren't so expensive you can't afford them these days. They got a yard, like I said, the kid could throw a ball in or, you know, actually have some room, and it seems like a real good spot for what we're trying to do if we can get there.
Yeah, I think the location is a great market for you.
Yes, sir.
for
We
the-
hope.
For the reasons you listed.
Otherwise, we're gonna be living in them.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Are there impact fees?
No, we have a moratorium on impact fees.
Is there any thought of changing that in the future? If so, when?
We did an RFP for service, do the study that's required, and the commission opted not to. We selected a firm, and they decided to take it.
So it's a debt issue at this time?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And not to mention that, that's, not having the impact fees is a big reason. They're so big in St. Johns County that, anybody, they can afford a house. Like, you have a $15,000 or $20,000 impact fee on top of a little house like that. You think they're so expensive these days. So not having the impact fee really, if you had impact fees that were St. Johns County style, for what we think we'd be able to sell the house for, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't even be able to do it.
That's gonna be a long time.
Yes, sir.
For that never to happen here, so, and also, obviously, gentlemen, you're aware that there is some heritage trees on your property,
Yes, sir. So
some mighty oaks.
we were actually drove by there on the way here and, we were talking about, we want to leave any of those trees we can. Like, it's not,
Yeah, that was, obviously had the curb appeal. Those oak trees were beautiful, and if I had to buy a house there, I would love to have that oak tree in my front yard. But the setbacks would be, it's only 25 foot, we can go back farther if needed to protect those oak trees. Those would definitely be a high priority to try to keep.
All of those will be site issues that'll get addressed with the subdivision application. We'll look at grading, just generally, this area does seem to be, there's the road, you go up to like a little mound, and then you go down towards where, so these lots should grade nicely from the back towards the road. That should make it easier. We haven't looked at all those elevations because we're not there yet. That should make it easier to preserve the trees. Like I said, most of the trees that you're seeing are actually just on the back side of this property. And when you looked at the aerial and you saw that the heavy vegetation, that was mainly offsite.
Actually, Mark, for what I'm seeing, they're nicely dispersed on the front side and the back side.
Yeah.
The live oaks.
there's some of them,
I was delighted to hear your appreciation of how the live oaks are going to enhance your product.
Yes, sir.
Also, I was delighted to see there's some black cherry there, popular, but that's a common.
Gotcha.
So thank you for that
Absolutely.
and your wisdom. But Mark, I agree with grading, because of the spacing, should be a problem.
Okay, we're not there yet. They haven't,
No, we're having a general discussion, I understand. It's, they have generated some goodwill with this, early on with this discussion. So,
And we're
thank you.
looking at running the sewer down the center of the street or the back of the lots in order to preserve that canopy along the street.
So I have another staff question. So the property on the west side of the street, Cherry, has sold within the last year. Have we heard any thoughts of what the owners may be looking to do, Charles, with that property yet?
I haven't, I don't think, I
Okay.
spoke to so many people looking at it, but no one's contacted you, have they?
like you, I had a lot of people call me up and discuss, what the current zoning is, and, they had various ideas. I have no idea, though, who actually closed. I probably had 4 conversations about property
Sure,
owners per
no, I
se.
understand that, yeah.
So,
Okay, great. I have no further comment.
I just add something, Owen. You said the setback on the front is 25 feet. That's 25 feet from the center of the street, or 25 feet from the sidewalk, 25 feet
It should be from the property line.
it'll be from the property.
property line? Okay, and then another question, have you given thought, I used to build in St. Augustine. I don't know if you guys remember Len Weeks and Barry.
I have Winley as well.
I used to build with Len and Barry.
Yes, actually, we're gonna do some work with him next week with his son Schaefer.
He was good. He
Was it
good.
Barry Master? No, Barry,
Tony.
I know his name. But I do know Lynn well.
Okay, good. I know that on the setback, the further you set the house back, it incurs more cost, driveway, connecting water and all that kind of stuff, but have you given any thought to staggering the setbacks, given that you have a lot that's 150 feet deep?
I don't think we've really gotten to that point yet. I mean, I think if we just pictured it, they would somewhat line up. But I mean, if that was more appealing or made sense for any reason, we could, maybe stagger them some.
So, a home with a nice big front yard always has a lot more street appeal than one that's
Oh, yes, sir.
right on the street.
Yeah, I don't think that we would put it right on the 25-foot mark. I think that,
Some of those, we have to protect those oak trees, so we have to be farther than that. But there's also the vegetation in the back that if we can clear, the less that we can clear of that as well, that protects privacy for those houses from the other houses that are behind them as well.
I was thinking of protecting it against looking like shoeboxes all over.
yeah, that would be, we definitely don't want to do that, So I think it's just going to be a matter of where the existing trees and the land itself allow us to put the homes.
And I know from building in the past, that, you can have a budget for lumber, windows, block, whatever, and you can arrange them in such a way that they can be very architecturally appealing, or they can just be mundane.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
A good example of a mundane home is the one that just built up on 308.
I've got I know this is not quite as nice as his presentation, but I've got a picture of it's the model that we're talking about that you could, on my phone, if you'd like to look at it. I don't know if that would
Oh, yeah,
help you.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
If you want to send them, we can go to the website too, those are listed for sale
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, I gotta go see if we can do that too.
I was hoping that you could get the
Thank you,
architectural
right.
design of the homes.
What's the website?
Well,
It's
Oh, I
gonna be
see
on-
it better
It's
on.
gonna be on Zillow probably. You can go to,
here's one that the owner wanted in his wife. So it's,
it's 12th Street.
shaker style.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a cute little house. And that, like I said, that one,
Is it 855 12th Street?
it's 835.
835 12th
So that'd
Street,
be one.
West 12th Street. You can probably go to Zillow.com or
Just a shaker on
Zillow.
it. They want that white look, but it's all white and
It's like
pictures.
835
West 12th Street.
West.
That's the outside, metal roof,
Yes, ma'am.
and then, from the road. So that's a much smaller lot.
Is it in Lakeland?
I like the Johnson drive.
It's in St. Augustine.
There's some on the inside, so, you're talking about LED flooring, built-in.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you know, stuff like that inside the house, it's not all just. So, we can go to the slide.
That one's not pulling up. We can do 455 South.
You think I'd be a little bit more clear than
I'm
this?
in Zillow.
Yes, ma'am.
There's conditions, so some pendant lights hanging down a bolt in the ceiling, white shaker cabinets. So,
Yeah, clean look.
it's definitely not a mobile home.
No, they can have granite, as long as, we can order, they'll have granite, a level 1 granite in it, which is, obviously nice, especially, but like I said, we can answer all the questions all day or whatever you want.
So we're tasked with basically rezone so that you can get to that point.
Right, yes, ma'am.
Well, first, we need a motion to approve the future land use comp plan amendment.
So, are we, that's where we're at?
That's what we are.
All right,
So
well,
I'll make a motion to approve future land use as stated in the document.
I'll second that.
okay, so there's been motion and second that we, approve, the future land use of the property on 600 Cherry Street. Okay.
You want to do a roll call?
Yes.
Bradford Green,
Aye.
Kenyatta Hardy,
Aye.
Dan Raj,
Yes.
Robert Sher,
Aye.
Veronica Glover.
Aye.
And then we also need a motion to approve the rezoning.
I make a motion to, change, for the zoning change for 600 Cherry Street
And we're changing it to SR1.
from commercial and agricultural to SR1.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, it has been motion and second that we approve the zoning of 600 Cherry Street from, commercial and agriculture to SR1. So, do a roll call.
Co-chair?
Aye.
Stephen Dodge,
Aye.
Kenyatta Hardy,
Aye.
Bradford Green,
Aye.
Lauren Gonzalo,
Aye.
All right, thank you guys, we appreciate it.
Build building.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is this your typical product so far?
This one that's worked well, people can afford it and make a nice house, but we've built, we've got one now that's over $1 million that we're building. So I mean,
Oh, good, want that here too. You've got some nice lakefront property.
yeah, absolutely, you know what I mean? Like I said, we can do whatever we need to do.
I just have one other thing, I'm very concerned about architectural eye appeal for homes here. I'd like to see people who come to Crescent City say, wow, I went to this little small development and had the most little houses, they were really great, as opposed to, yeah, we got some shoe boxes that are colored different paint. So I'm hoping that you'll take this opportunity to make a name for yourself
Yes, sir.
and putting in some architecturally pleasing designs, given that you had the same material, which is how you put it together.
Yes, sir.
So that we, think that Crescent City can be proud of what you do.
Absolutely.
You can be proud of what you do, and maybe you can do some more.
Yes, sir. 100%. If we can find any way to do that, we certainly will.
We're not stuck on this product. If you, like, we have modern houses we could build other houses that match that. It just seemed like this product has worked really well, and some of the times you don't change something that works. I mean, they've been first time homeowners have been able to afford these houses, and they're $70,000 more, or maybe even $100,000 more in St. Johns County.
Yeah, I understand that, particularly for the location. However, what happens is that it becomes too common eventually, and then they're overbuilt with that style. And there's certainly a market for something else. So in the future, you might think of that.
Absolutely.
And Crescent City is perfect, because if you look at the example of fine architecture here in the homes, you'll see that there's great variety.
Yes, sir.
And anything that complements that would be great. A lot of towns are over with. And have been for a long time.
Hopefully this is the first day of many, and we're young still, and we're willing to adapt to the community to make whatever we need to. So hopefully, like you said, this is our first project, make a name for ourselves. We're even though we're not from Crescent City, we're born and raised right there in St. Johns County. Our families we recently came over on the boat, so we're not going anywhere, and we love to.
So I consider moving here.
Yeah, we do have property.
Get as many more people over there, we're going.
But Mr. Green's are very wise.
Perfect. And we're not, like I said, we're not that builder that's stuck in our ways, so we can adapt as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item of business is Colbert Park grant presentation.
Charles got that, Veronica.
We could, do we need to stay or?
No,
You're on, you're good. Free to go.
Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, sir, you do.
Yes.
If you want to roll out, you can drive.
All right,
So you're good for next Wednesday.
I'm good for next Wednesday. Be able to get my stuff.
And then these guys come back next month for the first reading
Okay.
of the two.
For the commission first reading.
Thank you, Martin. Have a good drive home.
Oh, you need to drive in.
Safe.
Ready?
We're ready.
So we had in our Better Place Plan budget this year, I think it was $50,000 for a new restroom at Colbert Park. And I'll show you some slides of that. There's actually a portlet there now. What we discovered in doing research is it's gonna take a lot more money than that. So, the FERDAP program, Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program, is a grant. We're gonna apply for a $200,000 grant approximately, which would, it'll fund part of the bathrooms, so we'll still need that Better Place funds, and it'll fund playground equipment. And so as part of that application, which is due at the end of next month, I have to present to planning and zoning on the idea, as well as a public meeting. We're gonna come to the concerned citizens meeting. Christina's actually gonna make that presentation. You'll see it here tonight. And then we have to include all that information in the packet, the minutes of this meeting. We have to have a public hearing that we only discuss this, which will happen on the 12th, right before the city commission meeting. So the public can provide input on this project, and then we'll submit the grant. And then the funds will be available in 2026, which is year after next. So it's a very long-term process, but it'll be significantly more money. So,
Charles, this is just, we're talking about a bathroom.
this is bathroom and playground equipment. Yes.
This is gonna be 250,000.
Well, combined, I'll show you how that happens.
That's an expensive bathroom.
Yeah.
Expensive all the way around.
Why this is.
I mean, even when they shop for it, it's expensive. Because they're building it from ground. There's nothing there to hold it for. Not a porta potty.
Get a map there, which will.
This is our time. That's the little.
Thank you, Raymond.
Yeah.
That's why his name was.
Okay, this is Colbert Park. Took this photo recently. It's a small community park, has a couple of picnic tables, a couple of trash cans. There is a working water fountain. There is currently just a metal swing set and a metal slide and a portlet. So we had a workshop on Better Place last year in the budget process, and the commission agreed to build a bathroom. The one you've seen in the most recent construction, I believe, was Harry Banks Park. That was a $50,000 bathroom, which is where we got the number. But there was a change order at the end of that, and it ended up costing more than $50,000. So just to show you the other parks, Dexter Beach has a bathroom and a playground structure. Evaline Park has a double bathroom and a playground structure. Harry Banks Park has the most. It has the bathroom. It has the old metal playground structures, as well as two relatively new structures in the play area. And so these are some examples of, you order these from manufacturers, and these range up to $95,000, $100,000. Can be as little as $30,000 or $40,000 for the little tiny ones. But they all come together, they come as kits, and we assemble them on site. And then they have a shelf life due to the plastic. If you see them on an Evaline, it's very faded out and probably really needs to be replaced. These are just examples. I was looking at prefabricated structures, and they're $100,000 to $150,000 oftentimes. They're just brought in on a truck and drop them in place, hook them up to the infrastructure. So this is Dexter Beach Park. This is more likely, although frankly, it almost might be better to build a single stall. This one, for instance, at Harry Banks Park, the right-hand unit is locked because it's been damaged so heavily. And they were damaged, they were destroyed, we understand, right after they were built. So what we're considering in all of our bathrooms is switching to metal fixtures. Because what happens is they smash the back of the lid, the back of the toilet, and they smash the sink, or they light fires in the sink. So we need something that's a little more durable for the bathroom. So what the grant would do is we would apply for a play structure at approximately $100,000, and then or more, and then the bathrooms, my understanding is they'll only pay for half a bathroom. So if we were to ask for $50,000 to $75,000 for the bathroom, and then we'd match that with our Better Place budget, we could get a permanent bathroom structure in the park that would be more in line with this one, or even just a single user to help us with maintenance and so forth. So again, this would be a couple of years away. The unfortunate part of it is the grant would be, the decision would happen next spring or so, with the state budget. We'd get the announcement in June, and then we'd do all the paperwork, and the funds would likely be available in fiscal year 26, which is the following fiscal year. We would have to pay for everything, and then we submit for a reimbursement at the end of the project. Like we did, Fletcher Park was the most recent one. We did some small repairs out there and remodel a bathroom, and we put in a new handicap accessible table and a picnic table and some other minor improvements, some new trash cans out there in that park. We ended up spending only about $32,000, I think. Part of it was to be a trail through the swamp there, but it turned out we couldn't get in there with any kind of equipment to clear a trail, so we had to take that off the grant. So do you have any questions or
I have a
comments?
question that is kind of disturbing. You said they will smash the porcelain.
Vandals.
We're talking vandalism, right?
Yes.
So if we've got 10 of these bathrooms in town, is there a budget for vandalism? I mean, what does it cost the city per year to keep up with the vandalism, let alone the maintenance?
Don't track that. A lot of it, the vandalism, just we clean it up. Our folks go every Monday morning. They go to all the parks and check the bathrooms and empty the trash cans and clean the bathrooms.
No, but I can understand cleaning it,
Yeah.
but given that a bathroom costs $50,000 to $100,000, I mean, to replace stuff in it must be $10,000 or $20,000.
Not so far. I mean, we've had to replace toilets, individual toilets. I'm not sure what's broken in the one bathroom that's still locked at Harry Banks. But
Where does the big, huge price come in for these things? Evidently, it's not the sinks and toilets.
the construction costs. They're block structures. They're
You
concrete
gotta
block.
build in a block thing that's what, 16 by 16 maybe? Okay, I just don't see that, why it's such a huge price tag. Maybe you can enlighten me.
I'm not in the construction business. I just know what the cost is. I know when we were trying to build an ambulance bay, just a bay and some dorms, we thought $400,000 would do it. Came in at almost $1 million. So
So to build, Charles, today, what do you think it will cost to build a single stall? 150?
well, I'm hoping a single stall. Well, if we buy a prefab that's just delivered, it'll be probably 100,000 in that range. But if we construct one, I'm hoping it'll be more in the 50 to 75 range. I just don't know enough about construction.
So is that everything? Or just the structure? Is that the slab, the plumbing?
Yeah, that'll be finished out the
Finished
door.
product.
Yeah, connected to.
So again, 50 to 75,000? Is that your estimate?
I think we're gonna have to pick it up. I wanna know what you all think about a single versus a double. If you just go for a double, and then that'll be the larger amount. The grant's up to $200,000. But, for instance, if the bathroom were $100,000, we would put up 50 with our Better Place, which we were planning to do this year. And then 50 would be grant funded. So we could put in a double.
Well, let me just throw this out. So let's say it's 75,000, right? The gentlemen that are here, that were just here, they're gonna sell their home, which is 12,000 square feet, and a lot for 300,000. So 75 is a quarter of what their price would be for a house and building in a good sized lot. So logic would say that the 75,000 is high. You see my point?
I do, all I can tell you is that, anybody remember when they built the Harry Banks bathroom? A few years ago, someone bid 50,000, got the bid. and then it ended up costing 60 or more thousand. They had to do a change order, they'd underbid it. And it's just- And this was years ago, so
How many units?
it's two stall.
Two stall?
It's, this one.
Charles, what's the traffic like over at Colbert as opposed to Harry Bank? I mean, as far as, you know, the use of the park, the people that are, you know, numbers of people there, because I know Harry Bank's park can get pretty crowded.
Yeah, you know, it's not as much, but I remember we discussed this last year. I wouldn't take my kids to a park where there was a portalet.
Yeah.
You know, I think that really impacts the use, and the equipment's just not, you probably couldn't, these days, you couldn't slide on that slide without getting 3rd-degree burns, you know, it's,
So you're expecting a lot more use out of it.
I think it'll increase the
Yeah,
usability of the
once
park.
you'll get more use out of it.
Cause we used to have more of a use, I feel like years ago. But then there was a lot going on at one point, you know, so that kind of died out. And I think
Because you had a shop across the street as well,
Yeah.
that building, so you walk back and forth. That was a shop that sold, food and a snack, they had dances in it, so.
They had restaurant facilities.
Everything, well, not the park, because you,
There was storage,
huh,
the storage.
yeah,
The store had,
yeah, so.
So that helped.
Yeah, so it was always packed out there. It was always,
and Veronica, you made an excellent point last year when you said we keep getting grants for these other parks and we never get a grant for Colbert
Right.
Park. So it's really time to fix this park up, bring it up to speed.
Well, overall, I think it's a great idea. I think the location is terrific because people like to walk along the lake. And,
They can go get an ice cream, hey.
this would be well spaced from the other. So, and there's no question that the playground equipment is way outdated. I don't know that legally you could use that equipment these days.
It's like, isn't it?
Well, the swings are, you know, so, I agree with the
Or
concept.
antiques, actually.
I want the slides when they take it up, I want the slides.
So, let's talk about the funding. So in your presentation, you said that the city would build it, and then it would take 2 years to collect the money, correct?
No, I'm saying we won't get, the grant funds won't be available till fiscal 26. So, we wouldn't proceed until we were awarded the grant. We got the notification. Like with Fletcher, that was actually awarded before I got here. And then it wasn't until I got a notice to proceed from the state that we went ahead and started spending money. That's when you can go. We still had to provide them with a survey and there were some other things that needed to be cleaned up. So even when we get notification that we've been awarded, until we sign the agreement and we get a notice to proceed, we won't start spending money. And then it'll behoove us to spend it quickly because we don't get paid back until the whole grant's closed out.
Oh, so I see. So we have to wait for approval for the grant, and then we can build it. Will we get 100% funding for it?
Only for the playground equipment. They won't, I've been told they won't fund 100% the restroom. We'll have to match that with our Better Place money.
So what percentage will they do, 50%?
That's what we're gonna ask for. We'll tell them we'll put up half the bathroom money.
Well, I was just saying that, you know, with the new development, that would be a nice place.
Be very close.
to, walk and take your children, so I can see that area being utilized a lot.
Well, I think you're right, Ken, and I think future development beyond that.
It'll bring people in.
Stella Lake is a jewel, with its 7 springs and so forth. So let's talk about the vandalism. And so we clean once a week. Yeah. You think it'd be wise to clean more often?
Well, sometimes when we know there's a mess, we have to go back midweek or late week. And then I instructed the crews prior to a holiday weekend, we clean them up. So we're ready for a long weekend or a holiday weekend.
Is there a pattern that it often is after the weekend that it occurs?
I don't know, there's a particular pattern. Certainly after certain holidays, the parks in general have heavy. Is I've got to pay somebody to come back in, go around and lock them, and then we can unlock them in the morning. So we were doing that for a while. We do that sometimes, people start sleeping in them. So we start locking them at night. We hate to lock them earlier, and we've had them locked over the weekend. People go to the park with their children, they can't get in the bathroom. I've been in Eva Lion Park hanging lights, for example, and I see a mommy take her child over to the bathroom, and they have to just come right back because it's locked. Wow, why is that locked?
So we don't have.
And we lock it because people sleep in the, we do have posted park hours, but they'll sleep in the bathroom and
We don't have staff on weekends,
correct,
yeah,
unless we pay overtime.
yeah.
Also, the bathroom, so who opens them on the weekend?
Oftentimes they don't get opened. If we've locked them Friday night.
Wow.
Lately, the vandalism has increased. We have a couple that's living in, especially Dexter Beach. So we're gonna have to lock those. They get in there before we get there and they lock themselves in. And then we can't lock it. And so we gotta lock it earlier to try to keep them out. It's a challenge. It's an ongoing challenge, but to me, it's just part of operating a park. You go through these phases.
Ms. Alice, as a
Sorry. Alice McCoy, 315 North Summit. I just have a question. Have you ever considered, or is it legal to put video cameras above, but not the inside of it, but the entrance to these bathrooms, and a sign there that says you're being videoed or something? So would that cut down any of the activity?
It could, and we're looking at getting internet service at each park location, so we can put Wi-Fi based cameras. Even that has limitation. We have a camera in our building, and recently a gentleman was vandalizing Ace Hardware. First, he took out our camera with a brick, and then vandalized Ace Hardware. So we'll have to replace the camera. But we've the sheriff's office provided us with a nice camera service that's a subscription-based camera system, very high definition, but it needs Wi-Fi. So we'll have to get an account for the park at that address, and then they'll put Wi-Fi signal generator out there, and then we'll have Wi-Fi at the park. So it's a process.
Have we ever looked at what other cities might do? Because I know the homeless situation is an issue, so I can see someone wanting to try to sleep in the restrooms, but what might they do in other areas for the bathroom situation?
I know I've seen, I forgot what town I was in, their park had a timer lock on the gate. That's something we consider where the doors automatically lock at a certain time. The challenge, just like now we have cheap knobs and they're destroyed by the vandals, so we buy an expensive timed lock and then it gets beaten to a pulp by the vandals would be my concern.
Yeah, someplace like Palaca has a Parks and Recreation Department, so they probably have somebody who
They
monitors
probably
that.
alternate on weekends, like somebody.
They might have someone on shift
Yeah.
over the weekend.
So I don't know if, I was thinking something that could possibly be, so all those guys at maintenance, probably put them on a shift where maybe every day somebody, that week you leave 30 minutes early or something, so that weekend you're responsible for opening and locking gates, and they be on a rotation. So, that might work. So,
It's just one of those things I don't think you, like the homeless, you never solve it, you just figure out a way to manage it. And, to me, it's part of having parks and bathrooms available.
yeah. I can tell you right now, I can go remember,
So we'll have we'll do a public meeting on the 12th, right before, at 5:30 before the commission meeting, so the public will be invited to come and make comments as well. And then we're gonna present it to concerned citizens. Christina will probably come make that presentation on the 22nd
Of September.
of
August,
yeah,
next Thursday.
next Thursday.
August.
And where do you guys meet since they're voting?
Okay.
Since what?
Well, actually, already voting will be over.
When-
The primary will be over, so you'll be fine.
So we'll be good, yeah, cause they're not, they normally tell us, I'm like, say, okay. Yeah, so that's what we're in.
Yeah.
Well, I think the camera solution is the best. I mean, you know, even if they destroy it, you have,
That's some
you have
evidence.
recording.
See the rock coming out of the camera.
We did it.
Mhm, mhm.
What do you call that, public input, for Cobra Park? Is that
Um,
how you want me to word it?
Public meeting for Colbrook Park improvements. Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, wait a minute, I just have one question. I know Dan has kind of touched on this, but, you know, the gentleman that we had here earlier, they were building 1,600 square foot homes, 2 bathrooms and kitchen. Lots of plumbing and that, and they're charging $300,000 for that, plus you own the land.
Right,
How can a bathroom cost $250,000?
Well, when we put it out to bid, we'll show you all the bids.
And somebody's skilled somebody.
well,
And understand this, though, when it's coming from grant money, this is what they do.
So they just jack the price.
Yes. when
Well, it's
grant-
competitively bid, so
Cause, you know, I know some guys that bill like they're less than, probably less than $10,000. That, you know, and there's people out there that will bill that, but these grants, it's ridiculous. You can get probably 2 stalls for less than that, but I don't know if, based on the grant, that certain people have to do the work.
just certified, just a licensed contractor.
You need
You
to-
also get a
you need to
permit
encourage
to
your
tie
friends to
tie it
bid.
in.
And we should invite these 2 gentlemen to bid.
Yes,
It'll be competitively bid.
yes.
I would also like to say that, I think it would be prudent, Charles, to, inspect those, and clean those bathrooms more often.
Yeah.
It's certainly for public safety.
For our safety, yeah.
It's unfortunate, but
Yeah, I thought they were.
You said 5:30 on the 12th?
Yes,
Or do I
sir.
go 5?
Right, yeah, 5:30 on the 12th, right before the commission.
I have a suggestion. You know, like when you tamper with someone's car, an alarm will go off. Well, if somebody's smashing the sink or smashing the doorknob on the front of the door, can't you just have a sound alarm with the siren that goes off? I mean, that would deter most people. I mean, what is, I mean, is this a new, thing? Vandalism? I mean, is this some kind of urban recreational program? Or-
I don't, cause I never would, that's a child that tore it up.
But I would think that you could put some kind of a noise thing, just like they have on cars. Okay, get away from the car.
But I think that camera, when people see cameras,
Yeah, I think they'll respond to the noise. What noise, I mean, a noise thing can't be that expensive.
I'm not sure how that would work.
yeah, I don't.
Same way it works with a car.
worth exploring.
I think she would like me to do it.
It's honest.
I just wanted to add something. I saw the pictures of the stainless steel toilet and sink, which I sold for many years, and they're incredibly expensive. I mean, incredibly expensive. And, that's what you put in jails. And so I had a customer come in one time and wanted it, and I looked it up and it scared me to death how much it was. But she said, well, I just got out of jail and I love the toilet. So you never know. But anyway, they are incredibly expensive, but they are virtually indestructible.
I need you need the motion for 2 or 1 stall?
No, just your general impressions of a 2 or 1 stall.
Well, my thought is it's been overlooked for so many years that I think if we're going to, it's probably gonna be a while to get back around to it again. So I would say
Two stall. Is that the consensus?
and especially with the new development coming in and
Use will be heavier, yeah.
future growth.
Okay, good, thank you.
2?
Thank you.
There are other materials too.
Yeah,
A hole in the
we'll
floor.
have a whole design phase, so. I think that's all we have for you tonight.
Yes.
Move on.
I was just thinking, maybe that's why when you go to Europe, all they have is a hole in the floor.
Mm.
It's kind of hard to analyze a hole in the cardboard floor, right?
Y'all are too funny today.
Why don't we, say, hey, we got European bathrooms in our playgrounds.
Okay. So,
They gotta be cheap.
yes, we will adjourn the, August 15th, Crescent City Planning and Zoning meeting.
I thought we were
Then you're gonna open up,
Oh, for,
Historical.
historical preservation.
yes, so now we will proceed with the City of Crescent City Historic Preservation Board meeting. Alice will come up, August 15th, 2024. Should be back, so our mission statement, the Crescent City Historic Preservation Board works to preserve the significant historical, cultural, and architectural heritage of our city for current and future generations. First item of business on the agenda is our approval of minutes from our March 21st, 2024 meeting. Everybody has had a chance to review the minutes of that meeting? Okay,
I would make a motion that we approve.
let's have a motion. Okay, so we have, it has been motion and second that we approve the minutes of the March 21st, 2024 Historic Preservation Board meeting. At this time, we will open for public comments. We'll move on to our business items. Responsibilities.
I have a comment on the city codes. Should we go there next?
Okay, so we're skipping responsibility and goals?
Yeah.
Okay, number 3, our city codes and land development code.
I was surprised to see, apparently on 850 Grand Rondo West, that recently sold within the last year, they tore down the house. The house was built in 1900, and it was a beautiful Gothic house. And behind it, which still was remaining the other day, is the carriage house. Do you know where I'm speaking
Yeah, I
of?
was surprised I saw that torn down. I thought they were remodeling it, but
I thought they would,
then it disappeared.
yeah.
I thought that was a great
There's
building.
850 Grand Rondo East,
West.
or West, okay, so that's
So,
Do they not have to come before any kind of a board before they tear a house down? I don't mean just a historic house, I mean just any house, doesn't somebody, you can't just,
the co-chairs.
Did they live there?
Is that the one as soon as you go through the,
He said the red roof, it was really kind of like a gingerbread kind of
It
house.
looks like a church.
wow, they cut?
Yes, it looked very much like the Episcopal Church.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes, it's set back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's that
oh,
one.
I know exactly
Yeah.
where, I didn't know that.
Demolition.
And torn it down.
It's not in the historic building department.
so it doesn't come to the city at all, it just goes to the county and they don't,
To the building official, yeah.
So the problem is, the great structure of importance to our community is lost. And so we need to do something about that to protect future ones. I understand it's not a historical district. However, this is a huge error. And especially because of the history behind it, the family that owned it, the success of that family, their long history going back generations associated with that home and its unique style. If you looked at it up close, whoever the carpenters were, you know, the trim on it, it was unique to that house. And it's a shame that it's lost. And it's a shame that if it wasn't restored on site, it wasn't moved. So we need to look forward on how do we prevent this from happening in the future again. And Charles, I believe that's changing our codes and the requirements.
Short of a historic designation, I'm not sure what we could do as a city to stop it. I mean,
Or is the house in the city limits?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. It's
Okay.
between us and these Cherry Street things we just reviewed tonight.
There's structures that have historical significance without being in that little chunk that's designated the historic district. I mean, there's some beautiful houses in this town that are not in that district. If that's the only way we have to protect something, we gotta figure out something else.
Well, we're gonna update this survey once the money is, I believe we were awarded the grant for to update our historic resource survey. So that would have identified this house, because that would be the whole city, it won't just be the Hartsburg district. And so then it'd be up to the commission to figure out, do we wanna designate a local historic district, or I don't know if you could do a non-contiguous district, or they want to designate specific properties as local historic landmarks. That would fill the room, I think, with people against it, an involuntary designation. So I think you need to be aware of that. We would provide for voluntary designation. People could come forward and say, hey, designate my house as a landmark. I think it ought to be safe for the ages. But it's different. It's a different ballgame when we start saying your house is now historic. And you got to ask us if you want to make a change. Short of that, I don't know. Even like our design guidelines are not applicable outside a historic district or a CRA district. The state doesn't allow you just to apply design standards all over your city for housing construction. So there has to be a designated district.
So the first order really would be, is to do a field study to see, to identify the properties.
Yeah, update the survey.
Exactly. And then go forward to see what action we can do to protect them. And I appreciate your thoughts on it.
But we never had the opportunity to respond in any way. So is there no way to like write a letter from the board to whoever gives those permits and say, would it be possible for you to notify us if you're gonna issue a permit to tear something down in the city limits of Crescent City?
I've asked for that, and I'll ask for it again to make sure they.
Asking if a letter or something from this commission, a request that they would have in writing that for them would be sufficient for them just to notify us. No action may even have to be taken, but just so we'll not be shocked when something goes away without any notice.
Typically in a city, you're housed in the same building, so when a demolition permit comes in, the building department, you can just talk among staff, they're gonna tear down that old house.
But Charles, we've contracted with them to do this for us. So they're in a sense working for us.
Sure.
So it should be a requirement.
Yeah, and I've asked them to notify me and something like that. They do give me a report every month of the building permits that are issued, but it doesn't include demolition permits.
Really?
I think they're actually pretty rare.
And we've requested, as you
Yeah.
know, demolition permits.
I think the previous one was the little house behind Jay Asbury's old office that was torn down. A few
I
months
still
ago.
think we should write a letter to them, so we have it in black and white, that we're requiring or requesting whatever we can, that be done.
Pardon?
You know, I drive up that street at least 2 times a week. I take my dogs for a drive at night since it's so hot and the gnats are out here, we can't walk the dogs, right? So I take them for a drive and I go all the way around there and come back out here. But I remember seeing that and I thought, wow, I always looked at it like, wow, that'd be a great place to remodel because it was so unique.
Exactly, yes.
And then I saw people working on it and I thought, then somebody bought it and they're gonna actually remodel it. And they did that and then, boom, I didn't even see a pile of rubble. It was gone like aliens came and took it away.
Oh, I'm sure it collapsed in an hour, you know.
It was
It was,
gone and cleaned up.
Oh, yeah, they were very efficient. Yes, yeah.
I thought, wow, that's strange. Anyhow. But I agree that, if it's our city, we should be notified as to what's going on in the city. How can the county do what they want in the city, like put in these ugly telephone poles, these concrete telephone poles, and not even notify us?
We asked them to do that.
I think they're ugly. But
So we didn't lose power after the next storm that came through, and especially when they looked at,
Like some of the new street lights that are going north.
oh, the new street light.
Yeah.
yeah.
How do we go about doing this letter?
I'm gonna write to Leo tomorrow, that he's the building official, find out what happened. There is a possibility they didn't pull a permit, but I'll find out tomorrow.
Maybe that's why they tore it down so quick.
That might explain it, but still, I'll find out what happened tomorrow. And I'll ask him to include that in that monthly report he gives me.
It was down, quick.
Is there a fine for somebody tearing a house down without a permit?
I'll find out, yeah. I don't know.
Maybe they can fund the new bathrooms.
We can't get it back.
So when do you think the survey will begin? Any idea now that it's?
Well, I think, memory serves, we'll sign the paperwork in October for the grant. And then we just issue an RFP, for services, put that out there for 30 or 60 days or however long we think we need to get someone's interest or to catch their attention. And then, we'll bring those results to you to review and you'll make the selection. You or the commission, obviously, which one that goes to, but we certainly make a recommendation on the vendor. And then they'll get started, they'll provide us with a scope, how long they think it will take them to accomplish it, but the whole process will probably be a number of months. So probably the spring before the survey is done, I would imagine.
I'll probably begin the first of the year and then, as you say, a few months to.
If we issue the RFP, we're issued in October, we probably make the selection in December. And then they probably get started after the first of the year. It might take them 2 or 3 months to conduct a survey.
That survey is gonna be conducted without, it's just gonna be a survey of everything in town. It's not gonna
Yeah.
be
Look at every
voluntary,
structure.
involuntary, it's just gonna be a survey.
Yeah.
Okay.
This house is 100 years old, this house is the year built on, they do all that research.
Right,
And then,
but it's not binding or anything.
correct, it's information, it's a survey of what we have.
I'm just wondering, because I live in one of those historic houses, and that's why I'm wondering.
No, it'll just show, here's the age of the housing in the city.
Right.
The last one was 90, 95, somewhere in there, so a lot of houses have become historic.
A lot of them are gone.
And then a number are gone as well. So
So, of course, the benefit is that it will allow us to expand the historic district.
You could, but expanding the National Register really isn't gonna achieve what you're looking for. That's honorary only, there's no punitive, there's no teeth to a National Register district. You just lose your designation if you change a house. You need a local historic district that has consequences, has fines and so forth if you make,
And it will give us the documentation to enforce it.
people would have to come in here for a certificate of appropriateness
Mhm.
for the changes they want to make.
That's an involuntary.
Well, it depends on how the ordinance is written. So,
Yeah.
right now, the way it's written is you have to voluntarily say, I want my house to be designated.
Right.
And I will submit to the design restrictions. And if you don't do that, you won't be held to that. But if that's because we don't have a local historic district. If we do a local district, again, depends on the ordinance. When I was in Eustis, 50% plus one of the property owners had to vote to approve both designation and the rule set for how stringent it is. So the one that was first established only looked at the facade of the house. So they didn't do anything on the sides and back and interior. Some are much more restrictive, some are less. So they also vote on the rules. So it might not, maybe that in their neighborhood, they don't look at your color, they just wanna make sure the windows look, they can be made of whatever modern materials, but they have to look like the old window. And, if there were shutters on it, historically, you have to maintain shutters. The level of detail is up to them, and that's what they voted on. They voted it down, it didn't happen. But that's how the ordinance was written.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be too many people that wanna be told what they can and can't do with their house.
Right, it's very unpopular.
Well, I think that to counter that, I think, first, I think you're right. We don't want something extreme. However, there are a lot of people that want our historic structures saved and not destroyed.
I think that a lot of that falls on the homeowner wanting to make sure that the structure is safe.
Yeah.
It's still America.
Well, the current land development code changes, it maintains that voluntary designation. The property owner has to agree or ask for designation.
And there can be assistance in restoration, in making changes.
There has to be some incentive.
Sure, yes, yeah.
And you can also have where, say for 5 years I did it, but I don't wanna do it anymore. If there's a contract that say, I don't wanna be doing this.
You mean to withdraw from the
Withdraw,
historic
we can sign up, well, we signing up for 10 years or 5 years or 3 years, but, and not renewing. Because if you sell a house, the person that buys it might not want that,
It would, again, have to be in the establishing ordinance for that district. There'll be an ordinance that establishes the district and the parameters and rules. And just an interesting story, when I worked in downtown Eustis, a big, beautiful 3-story yellow brick building with gorgeous architecture. And I had sent out a letter to all the property owners saying, we'd like to have a discussion about a local historic district. And the owner of that building came in cussing me in my office about how he's gonna hire an attorney to stop this and fight it if we do it. So we just let it drop. And he's afraid he wouldn't be able to sell his building. So he sold it. The guy he bought it from him had to hold up the restoration to get it designated as a National Register District property, landmark, so he can get the tax credits. He got 20% tax credit for the renovation, but he had to hold up on the renovation. If it had been already designated, he could have just gone forward. So there is an advantage for commercial property. For designation, you get a 20% federal tax credit, income tax credit. So it's very valuable. You can actually sell that instead of take advantage of it and so forth.
Anything else on third? Okay, so let's move to 4 recommendations. 5 new historical recommendation nominations. 6 inventory of condemned properties.
Any new condemned properties?
Not that I'm aware of.
There are no.
Newly condemned that I'm aware of.
So what's the inventory on condemned properties? Because I see a lot of stuff that's been 4 years. I think they're just waiting for a hurricane.
Well, we're talking about formally condemned by the building official, and I had given you guys a list, I think, some time ago. If you don't have it, I'll have to dig that up.
Yeah.
Remember, there weren't many.
What's the word on that 1515 South Prospect? Isn't that, wasn't it?
They're bringing that into compliance, a little one-story, yeah.
But they
Someone's
are
bringing it
going
into
to.
compliance, yeah. Then they'll come to for a lien reduction, or to remove the liens.
No, because I was gonna ask a question. That's the property that abuts my property, right?
Correct.
I think so, correct.
Right. And I had a question, because I know that they put a new roof on it, and then they started tearing down the inside, and they haven't done anything on that thing for 5 months.
Yeah, they haven't done anything for a long time.
And I was just wondering, I asked Michelle about this, and she says, well, they could just keep renewing their permit. But don't they have to show some kind of progress?
There's an active permit, like the skeleton house over here on Main Street maintains an active building permit.
Really?
Yeah.
That thing's waiting for a hurricane too. But, no, okay, so what's the latest on the,
I have to check with Pam on the very latest, but the last time she told me that the owner is working on bringing it into compliance. They have to bring it into compliance before we can do anything about the lien.
bring it into compliance code-wise?
They have to bring it up to code.
Oh, boy.
And they were doing work, I guess, until,
I think they put the cart before the horse on putting a new roof on that place.
They put the roof over bad stuff too.
Yeah, and I called the county on that, and they said that an owner has the right to put a roof on. I said, well, even if the foundation is eaten up by termites, because, that's, and he says, yep, they still have the right to put a roof on.
And they took out some wonderful plantings and bushes and trees and everything in there,
Yeah,
in the front.
and then there's a big question on septic. Because when I talked to them, they said, oh, we're just gonna connect to the sewer. There's no sewer to connect to over there.
Maybe they found that out, maybe that's not, they not having done anything else.
Okay. Kenny? Any? Miller School?
I think Dan can give an update on that.
Miller and Middle, I always want to say Miller Middle.
Well, the Blue Ribbon Committee studying this has, we've met numerous times. And we've had communication with the school district. And they are pleased that the community is interested in it and possibly acquiring it. So one of the goals is to find partners to go forward with it. Because we don't want to burden the community, the city, with increased expenses. Even in acquiring it. So that's one of our goals. So we're exploring to see where there may be possible partnerships. Obviously, there's a theater, auditorium, there's abundance of space, and it's a large square footage. The good news is that structurally, those brick buildings are extremely sound. Mechanically, there's some, on the administration building, they've removed the cooling tower, so that would require a new one, and so forth. So we're making great progress on it. There has been an appraisal done on the property, which we are making a study of, and that's going forward very well. So we're making progress. Any questions on it?
Tell us what you mean by partnerships.
Well, for instance, the stage. There may be a company that would be interested in leasing it out, operating it, bringing entertainment there.
So would you then like do a lease to whoever that company is and then pay rent? I mean, is that kind of what you're thinking?
That's one possibility, exactly, yeah. The gym, it's a perfect spot for,
Community
events.
exercises and stuff.
sure, a wedding, a meeting, seminar. Same with the theater. So there are a lot of possibilities.
You almost need a management company to, or whether it's a company, but you need a management agency of some sort.
Are you able to rent it now? Are you talking about renting
In the
that
future,
space?
in the future,
How can you run something you haven't bought? I mean,
in the future,
He said in the future.
If the city acquired it, we could,
if we acquire it.
okay. I think we ought to be careful about what we utilize in there because, there's gonna be tax on that building, right?
not if we own it,
No, no taxes?
not if it's for a public purpose.
Oh, okay.
If we sublet it to somebody who's paying for commercial purposes, then there'll be,
So, no county tax, property tax?
not if it's for a public purpose, if the city owns it. And we pay tax on the New Moon Lodge because currently it's not open to the public for public use, so we pay property tax. But if the gym and those things, we maintain ownership and it's effectively a public purpose. So our lease might just be, they cover the air conditioning and electrical and the overhead and some small,
And insurance, they have to.
Yeah. so, but if we just lease it to them for $1,000 a month, whatever, then it'd be taxable.
If you lease
If we lease it out like commercial property, even though we own it, it would be taxable. It's not for a public purpose.
taxable to you, I mean,
We would pay tax, which we would pass on to the tenant. We'd pay county tax, all the taxes would apply if it's not for a public purpose like this building.
They just reduced the tax to 4.5% on commercial here.
Did there?
It went from 6.5 to 4.5.
that's a real.
In Putnam County?
I'm sorry,
In Putnam County?
yeah,
For commercial property.
for commercial rent.
What do we do when it seems like we're in the same maybe situation like the Jenkins building? Like the city purchased it and they call it the Jenkins Community Center. And I think they bought it for a small, I don't know what they bought it for, but I know that the city owns it. And, but they did do a grant, because I sit on that advisory committee, where they, it was some type of historical grant that they got.
Sure.
And, to renovate like the gymnasium, and then now they have like a sub-advisory committee that they want to use a portion of it to, kind of do like a museum of local and surrounding history or what have you. So, but the grant itself, was to, it was some type of African-American, I'm just giving that as an example, grant, for a infrastructure of a building named after a local, African-American, which is the Robert H. Jenkins building. And so that money was meant for infrastructure. So they're renewing, like they redid the air condition, the gymnasium or whatever, and then now they want to use they're proposing to use a portion of that building to highlight local history, African history. So I don't know if that's something
Yeah, that's all public purpose, yeah.
And where is this facility?
it's in Palaca.
Latin.
It was the old Jenkins, Robert H. Jenkins, middle school.
Oh, yes, yeah, I've heard
And that's just for cities. Counties don't have that rule. They don't have to pay property tax. So they lease out the nursing home over here to a commercial entity, and they don't pay property tax, they don't pay us any property taxes.
It just made me think of that, because they were talking about possibly utilizing some of that space to rent out for community functions and things of that nature.
A lot of the community has come forward for a community center.
Yes, all for many years. And don't understand why everybody got a townhome, a building, and we didn't. Just a moment got one we liked, what? That never, couldn't understand why Crescent City never had, a building.
And other ideas are, veteran center.
Mhm. All right, historic district,
Nothing new.
okay. Architectural and state and site guidelines,
That'll be on the land development code. There'll be a workshop, actually it's a special meeting, next Wednesday at 1:00, and Mark will be there to present the entire code. It's not gonna go through it all, it's 222 pages, but he'll make a presentation of what the differences are in the current code and the new code, and hopefully have enough of a discussion where the commission will be ready to vote on the 12th on first reading. So we set aside 3 hours to answer all the questions there may be on the code.
So that's the 21st.
Yes, Wednesday at 1, starting at 1:00.
land use and zoning maps,
Nothing new, that'll be part of the same.
same thing, okay. All right, nothing else. The historic preservation board meeting will be adjourned.